Yesterday we saw about maintain items, right? So UI policy is something that you're already clear with, but regards to client script, the same logic of client script that you write in catalog items applies to table as well. The only thing that changes is where are you writing, right? Whether you're writing to a catalog item, then the client script validation and everything applies to a catalog item. If you write it to a table, then it applies to the table form. To be continuing with what we had yesterday, so today we will see in detail of the client scripts. So the entire session of today will be concentrated only on the client script section. So I go to maintain items. Uh, from the list of catalog items, I do Z2A of updated field, and I choose this catalog item. And I go to the related list. I find all of these variables, UI policies, and client scripts. So here I have my catalog client scripts, right? So we will write one example for each of the different types of client scripts. CS represents client script here. Now, when you put it as on load, system automatically populates with a syntax. It says that function on load, and then whatever code you have to write inside of this particular function only. And if you write any code without this function, it will not work. So because we are defining the client script when this client script has to work, right? So in there, we are saying that we want this to be working only when the form loads. When I click on try it, or when I access the catalog through service portal or any other method, when the form load, right, the moment the form is rendered, at that time you want to check something, or you want to populate something. So there you will use an onload client script. Now when I change it to an on change, so you could see that it brings up a new syntax. So let me walk you through what this syntax is first of all. So on the condition of form loading, you don't have to worry like which field, nothing. Like you're going to consider it completely on the entire form. Whereas on change of form fields, you have to tell the system which field is it, right? So here you will say that okay, on change of justification details field, on change of on behalf of field, like that you have to define it here. And moreover, if you look at the syntax, so it tells you on change, which is fine, and this one is control, right? So you can use this control element, like for example, as you're typing this field, if there is some different characters identified, or some special letters identified at that time, so anything as and when you're typing, you want to do something, you make use of the element called control. The other one is old value and new value, right? So let us say um, you change the uh, description from hello to previously it was hello, and then after some time you would remove it and you change it to test. So here old value represents hello, isn't it? And your new value represents test. So if you want to read the old value, then old value. If you want to read the new value, you have to put new value, right? And this is loading parameter identifies whether the form is right now loading or not. So what happens is, what you have to keep in mind is, client scripts run on form loading as well. As in, even though you define it as on change client script, the on change client script also runs on load also. So to avoid that, you need to put an extra parameter like this. if the form is loading, written means it will not proceed to whatever lines of code that we have after line number 4. It will stop right away, right? Also sometimes you might have a requirement that if the new value means like let us say it is test right now, and after that I remove it. It means that what is right now the new value is empty, right? So if the new value is empty also, system does not want to process anything. So if you have a condition, you can add this as well. And in scripting, this pipeline symbol represents this pipeline symbol, right? This represents or condition. This equal to, one equal to represents setting of values, double equal to represents validation. You're validating something. And, right, and is represented by double ampersand, right? And let us say not equal to is represented by not equal to. Equal to is represented by double equal to. Setting of assignation or setting of value is done by single equal to, right? So these are the basic stuff. Now let us create a new variable. Let us create a new variable called request type, and then probably we'll introduce drop downs like none and um, personal request or team request. So the name gets automatically populated. Order, I'll put it like 30. I'll put this as select box. Select box means like it's a static select box with drop down fields. So I will say include none, right click save. The moment I save it and the form reloads, in the related list I will be able to see options. There's something called options, wherein you can create your own options like the question choices. So here I will say request for self. Front end name is request for self. Back end name I'll put it as self. Request for team. Okay. And this one I want it to come first, and this one I want to display second. So I'll put it like 100, 120. And finally give it a save. Right click save. Trick. Onload script. Okay, so let's write an onload script, and I'm choosing onload, and let me give it as UI type is all. So regardless of I access this catalog item from mobile phone or from portal or from native, the script is going to work for me. So whatever script I'm planning to write, I will write it only inside my curly braces. If I write it outside my function, it will not work, right? Now, so when the form loads, I don't have to do any validation, right? Because right now only the form is loading. Why do I have to do validation? So probably I can give them an alert saying choose the correct request type, which shall determine um, the appropriate shall determine the correct approvals. So any alert message goes with the syntax alert, parenthesis, open quotes, close quotes. So this can be a single quotes or double quotes, shouldn't be a problem. So you could see that we have saved it. I'm going to refresh this form. So the moment the form loads, it tells me alert, choose the correct request type, which shall determine blah blah blah, right? And I give OK. Now let us say I have a requirement like this form can be accessed anybody from India, right? But again, there might be a thing like the form is being accessed by admins. People admins as in ServiceNow admin, people who have the role called admin, and form is accessed by non-admins. So I'm saying that if the form is accessed by admin, I'm going to give them a different alert. If the form is accessed by somebody else who's not an admin, I'm going to give them a different alert. So with that being said, so I'm putting up a condition if g underscore user, right? G underscore user is one of the glide APIs, glide form API, with regards to user access. Like anything with regard to user access you want to find, then in client script you will use g underscore user. So I'm putting up a script called g underscore user dot has role admin. Then I'll give them an alert saying admin identified, no approvals required, right? Else I'm going to show this alert. So since I am admin myself, if I log in, I'm going to see only line number 6. I will not see line number 10. So I was telling you that g underscore user gets you all the user data elements, right? So you have an element, you have a method called get full name. So what we will do is, okay, what do you think it will come here? So why we put up a quotes is because those are static, like string proper text. So that is why we put it as quotes. But if your alert message is going to have a combination of a dynamic value and a static value, then you will put something like this. So here how it's going to print is system administrator is my display name, right? If you look at here, my display name is system administrator. So system administrator identified as admin, hence no approval required. Varun logs in, so and as long as he's also an admin, it will say Varun identified as admin, hence no approval required, like that. Let me refresh this form. So it says that system administrator identified as admin, hence no approval required. So if you impersonate somebody else who does not have the role admin, for them this will not say, it will go into inside the else loop. For them, this alert message will say. Okay, so first name will give me the logged in person first name, as in for me it's system, and the client data will be showing like the form values, and the full name is nothing but what you saw now, and role is the any one specific role that is put inside the parameter. Role exactly is they have only that role, nothing else. Like a person having only one role, which is so and so. That is, if you have such a validation, then you will put has role exactly. And if you have a list of roles like approval admin, change uh, admin and ITL user, something, you know, 4 to 5 bunch of roles, and you want to determine if the logged in person has at least one of these roles, then you would probably use has roles from list, right? And the last one has roles. As roles is nothing but if that person has any role. See, if in user table, it's not mandatory for somebody to has role, right? They can have role or cannot have role, and catalogs are meant for everybody. So if somebody has at least one role, then you will use the validation has roles. And then user id, it will bring him the for me, system administrator is the full name, system is first name, administrator is last name, and the username is admin, right? So that will be brought in as username, and in user id it will bring my sys id. So these are the top list of user elements that you have. So any doubts with regard to this? With this, we will jump into on-chain, and on-chain you have furthermore where I can explain the other stuffs. Okay, so I will just change to on this to on change. Remove this, put it as on change. Okay, I'm gonna remove this.
So, ma'am, so, ma'am, G user, like G hyphen user is the default table, default instance.
It is a glide
So,
form
glide record
API.
is,
Yeah, glide record is
so what is
called an.
glide record?
Okay, all these are APIs, meaning like the library files that you can access inside of ServiceNow. So glide form is form, right? The word form. It represents that you are in the client side and you're trying to access the fields of the client or the user object or in the client side. You will not be able to put it G underscore form anywhere in business rule or schedule jobs, nowhere. And glide record is a server side API. So in server side scripting, as in background scripts or a schedule job, a business rule, all these places you will use a glide record. And the not just it
Okay,
is a different thing, but it is also um, see here you're trying to access one form, field, variables like that. There you're trying to retrieve a table, do some validations in table, and try to update a table and all of that, right?
okay. So, how many types of APIs are there? Like in general, like we do use regularly. Like,
Okay, so there's more than 20 APIs, but on general you would use being you'll be using some 5 to 6 APIs.
okay. So, what are among them?
One among those major two is glide records,
Yes.
and we have something called glide aggregate. So all these will go in one after the other. Right now, just focus on the glide form, right?
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So here you have your onload client script. I have not deleted or changed it, and here I have given insert and stay. So this is my on change script. So in my on change script, let us evaluate this on change script on request type. Okay. So if new value. So in starting phase it might be difficult for you to remember that it is camel case and all of that. You don't have to write this line by yourself. This line is automatically populated by the system, but it is important for you to understand what this line represents and means, right? So um, as I told you, when you do a request type, right, let us say I want to read the old value, then I will put alert old. My old value is plus. Plus means like a concatenation after that, right? So now if I save this, you can identify that um, I'm going to save this and reload this form. Anytime you change a client script, make sure you reload the form. Only then your changes will be reflected back here. Now we have written an on change client script such that when we change the request type, right? Okay, so previously we changed it from empty to self, right? So it says old value is empty, nothing, and new value is self. Okay, right? And right now I'm changing from self to team. 1 minute. Actually, um, this old value object is supposed to take you your old value, as in when you switch from self to team. So self is considered as old value and team is considered as new value. Not sure why it's not reflecting, but when you put it as, am I putting it without any character issues? All right. So old value represents, for example, if you're changing from self to team, so self is considered as old value and team is considered as new value. So you have a requirement that, when somebody changes from self to team, so saying that, let me put it like this. If new value is equal to what did I say as equal to means validation, right? Equal to team. So I'm gonna give them a um, right. So I'm validating if the new value that they have chosen is mentioned as team. So in form, it will say that request for team. But if you remember, while creating a drop down, I kept it as a small, backend value as TEAM. For request for self, I kept the backend value as SELF. The reason is because those backend values are the values that will be used in scripting and all of that places. If you write big characters there, it will be difficult, right? So like, I mean, you have to put request for team here also. So that is why the variable backends and the drop down backends, everything, we're trying to keep it short and unique so that it is easy to be called inside of your script. Record it, right? So whenever my on change request type, on change of request type happens, so the system is going to check if the new value is team. If the new value is team, it's going to print out an info message stating you might require extra approvals. So this is not an alert, it is an info message, right? So it will say right in the form. It will not ask you like an pop up or anything. So here we'll choose it as team. So you could see that it gave us an info message in blue color that you might require extra approvals as this is for team, right? So this is what you call it as an info message. So like this, let me show you what are the other things we have. So you just have to put g underscore form dot and leave it. System is going to give you a lot of options, you have in the system. Like for example, you want you want to change the label to some red color, some show, not the mandatory asterisk, but show it in a different fancy colors or something. You could use the option of add decoration. And right now this message came in blue color, right? Because we defined it as add info message. Instead of that, if we gave it as add error message, it will show it in red color. Instead of blue color, it will show it in red color. That is the only difference between add info message and message in red. And then okay, so this add option is there, right? What happens is when you give add option, um, So we are trying to add an option to a variable called request underscore type, comma, the front end name I'm going to give it as not applicable, comma, backend name, let me give it as NA. Okay. So let me save this and show you how it reflects back. Like this, I'll try to demo as much as GForm API's functions we have, so that you understand okay what each one of them represents. Clear messages. Okay, so the moment you write this line, what happens is whatever messages that you have got in the previous, no, even 10 message, one message, it doesn't matter. All the messages gets cleared out. Don't want to keep this because I can't. If I keep this, I will not be able to demo you the first two lines. So for now, I will comment this up. Okay, so clear options is just just in opposite of add options. Whatever you try to add here, it gets cleared up here. Clear value is like I'll tell you something. So you have something called get value, get value of request type. Let me take the backend name of any other variables. Backend names are stored in a field called name. Right. Justification details. Glideform dot set value of justification details. Okay, so what we are going to do is if glideform dot get value of request type equal to self, then forget whatever is in green color because green colors are commented lines. So I'm writing a fresh script. So I'm saying my system, if my request type, if I'm trying to get the value of request type, if it is found as validated as self equal to represents validation, right? Then I'm going to set my value of justification details as as request for self justification below, like this. Okay, else if team, I'll put it as okay. This I can show you as a typical example with regard to okay, I've messed up the semicolon. Right, typical example I can show you to how do we utilize get value and set value. Any questions with regard to this these four lines? So this get value helps you to get the form value of your request type, and if it has been validated as self, then you're going to set the value of your justification details field with this exact text. Okay, and if that condition does not satisfy, right, this condition does not satisfy, it will directly jump into line number 16. So in 16 we are validating else if my form's value of rec field request type is evaluated is equal to as team, then I'm gonna set my form value field that goes by the name justification details with this text exactly request for team so and so. So I'm going to save this up. So anytime you make a change to your on change client script or any client script, make sure you reload the form, only then the change gets reflected. So I'm putting this request for self. So you could see that the description gets auto set with word called request for self justification below. I'm again setting it to request for team. So you could see that it got reset to something else, right? So this is happening based on your client script. So since we are right now handling with the on change, instead of accessing the form variables like get value of request type, this on change variable type itself is for request type, right? So instead of putting glide form dot get value, you could just use the word new value. So I will replace g underscore form dot get value of request type with new value, right? So new value is the method which is already stored with the value of your request type. So here also I will put it like this. So if I save this, functionality wise it's the same. It will do the same thing for me, right?
But ma'am,
Right.
how can we determine that new value is new value is mapping to this request type field?
Okay, while writing itself, you will know your requirement, right? I mean, for me, I'm going to evaluate the value of the request type at that time. So instead of putting g underscore form dot get value, I would just put it as new value, because anyways I know that this client script is gonna work on change of request type, and my requirement is also validating this request type. So at that time, I'm using the keyword new value. Otherwise, let's say I'm going to evaluate some other field like probably this on behalf of field or RATM numbers list, something like that, then I will have to anyways put g underscore form dot get value of on behalf, g underscore form dot get value of RATM numbers, like that. Since I'm trying to read the value which is nothing but same as what is available in my current on change client script, then I can readily make use of the existing package available, the existing method called new value, right? So this keyword will be helpful for me.
Actually, I couldn't get that one. I
Okay,
didn't
so you're
get.
trying to understand when do we know that we can put new value, when do we know that we can put glide form dot get value, right? Is that your
Yes, yes.
question? Okay, now I'll put alert new value and save this imagine. Okay, so right now this on change client script, where am I writing? I'm writing on the change of the field request type, isn't it? So imagine I'm saving this form, and I'm reloading this, and I'm changing this request type to self. Now, what do you think you will get in your alert? Okay, I can demo that to you. Um, okay, look, variable x is equal to glide form dot get value of request type. Okay, variable y is equal to this new value. Okay,
Okay.
now I'll put up an alert message. X is X. Okay, and I'll put up an other alert message. Y is Y. So you know that X is request type and Y is new value, right? What do you think both are going to print? It is going to print X is equal to self, and this is going to print Y is equal to self. It will show the same one. That with that level, are you clear?
Yes,
Let me
ma'am.
save this.
Fully connected.
So I'm putting it as self. So it says X is self. Also Y is his self, right? But here in the script, if you see, X is nothing but GlideForm.getValue of, whereas Y is new value. So it means that this GlideForm.getValue of request type is same as new value. The reason is because what is the key here is what is the value that you're trying to get? You're trying to get the request type value, which is nothing but the same variable that is used in this particular records client script, right? If I put it as justification details, imagine I put the variable name as justification details here, and I put it as request type here. So this will tell me self or team, whereas this is going to print me a bigger text. Let me save this. Before I could test it, you just look at the script once. So this change script will work only when I try to change my justification details, right? And in place of X, I'm going to print my request type value. In place of Y, I'm going to print my new value. New value is nothing but the justification details value. Now it will work on change of justification. Now you don't have to change this request type. If you change the request type, nothing is going to happen. Why? Because my on change client script is will work only when I change the justification details value. So let me change this one. Okay. Anything, I can just type something dummy and I will take my cursor off the screen. So you could see that X is self. From where am I getting the X? X is nothing but the value of the request type, right? And Y is justification. Whatever I print in my justification, that comes up here. So you understood, right? New value represents the value that I entered in this variable name, and get value represents whatever variable name that I have kept it inside.
Yes, ma'am. So for each label, if we want to put some validations, we need to write different client script, or here we will be writing
You
like
have to
variable
write
name. We
different.
can.
Okay. So whenever justification field changes, you want to do some validation, and if whenever request type field changes, you want to do another validation. At that time, you will write different client script, and there you will correctly put, okay, this client script is will work only when justification field changes, and new client script you will write like, oh, this will work only when request type changes, like that.
Okay, ma'am. Got it. Got it.
But let us say you
Thanks.
have a requirement, whenever request type changes, at the same time request type has been changed to self. Now you want to evaluate two to three other fields. At that time, in the same script only, first you will evaluate your request type, and if condition satisfied, you will further go proceed to evaluate condition number 2 and 3 within. It all depends on your requirement, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so this is with regard to on change, and I will show you the on submit client script. In on submit, you do not have this option of new value, old value, right? Because that on submit client script shall work only when you click on the button called order now or add to cart. So at that time, what you want to do the validation. Generally, they try to keep and confirm message. Are you sure you want to submit this request, like that? Or else people give a validation that whether such a request is already available in my database, right? Whether this person has already requested a similar request in the past. If so, just abort their action, something like that. So all these will come under on submit client script. But the same glide form g underscore form dot get value, g underscore form dot set value will all be coming there as well, right? So probably we will take a 10 minutes break and we'll connect at 9 o'clock. So 9 to 10, I will show you one example covering up on change, on load, and on submit, a full detailed one, right? Is that fine?
Yes. Also, I have one more question.
Yes, please.
What is the difference between client script and business script and uh, server script?
Okay. Client
Where
script
do we
is,
use all those three? Yes.
yeah, client side. Business rules, you call it. So that is server side. Client script, one of the examples of client side script, and UI policy, right? UI policy is also a client side script. Business rules are server side script. Scheduled job scripts, those are server side scripts. You have something called script includes, those are server side script. Notification email scripts, those are server side scripts, right? And see, anything apart from client script and UI policies are server side scripts here. Because in client side, there's only two types of script. One is client script and the other one is UI policy. Rest all are considered in server side script. So in client side scripts, you will use the APIs like G underscore form, um, all these G underscore form and G underscore user get elements. In server side script, all other APIs, you will use it in server side scripts like glide records, glide aggregate. There's something called glide aggregate, and current and previous objects. So all these you will use it in server side scripts. Don't worry about server side scripting yet. We'll finish. See, we have already done UI policy, right? Once we finish up client script, you will get a clarity of what is client side. Then, if I explain server side, you will have a clarity. And to give it to you very short frame, you are right now sitting on your laptop or your phone or desktop, whatever, and you are accessing a form and you're trying to do a validation based on what I input right now. What I input right now, right? What is not being saved, but what I input right now. You want to do some validations through that, then all this validation can be handled only in client side, right? Because in UI policy, on change of a specific field, you're trying to make another field read only, another field clearing out, all this you're doing, right? So that is in front of your eyes when you're doing some form level changes in one form, which is reflecting on an one field and which is reflecting on an other field. So to give you that way, it's in a short way, so that is what you call it as client side actions, right? This that
Yes.
does this help, this explanation of what is the client side and what is the server side? Anything other than client side, you just right now round it as server side. All right then, so we'll take a 10 minutes break and we'll again rejoin at 9 o'clock, and from there we will continue with our client scripts.
This conference will now be recorded.
All right guys, I hope everybody's back by now. Yeah, so do we have everybody in the session right now? The recording is on and screen sharing is on, I believe. So let us bring into a requirement that, I'll remove all the ones that are existing available. I'll put it as an on-chain script whenever. Okay. So here is my requirement. Let me write it down first, and then we will see how do we convert that into the script. So when request type changes, check if request is for self. If self, uh, check if a request already raised for same person mentioned on behalf. If so, alert and abort submission in the past 6 months. Okay, this is the request type, right? So let us say, you have a catalog item called work desk furniture, and what if people raises multiple requests? There has to be a systematic design such that people do not request for multiple, workstations, right? Because in big organizations, there might be some approval gaps or something, so people would approve it like anything. So it should not be the case. We have to make sure that the same request was not raised by them in the recent past 6 months or 1 year or any time in the recent. So like that, we need to keep a validation. Let us assume. Anybody have questions with the requirement?
Once again, explain about the requirement.
Okay. So whenever somebody fills up the form, let us say I'm filling it up for Mr. Abel Tutor. Okay. Okay. So let us say I'm filling it up for Lakshmi, and then I'm choosing request for self. So if I choose it as request for team, no validation required. But if I choose it as request for self, now my system is going to check, do I have any past request in name of Lakshmi for this particular catalog item, right? For the same catalog item, for the same person Lakshmi, were there any completed or in progress tickets in the past? If so, system is not going to allow me. It's going to say, hey, you have already raised a request for work desk furniture, so you will not be allowed to raise a request for one more furniture, right? Is that clear?
Okay, got
All right. So whenever request type changes, is we're going to first check is whether it is for self or team. If it is for team, understood. Like I might raise a request for some four other team members, that is different. But if I'm raising it for a specific this person, then I will choose it as self, right? So I'll check if new value. Why I'm giving new value here instead of get glide form get value of, because anyways the value I'm going to check here is request type. So I'm using new value instead of this. If you want, I can use it as glide form dot get value of request type as well. Get value of request type is equal to self, then validate if duplicate account, right? Now, how do I know that whether somebody has raised a request already or not? So let me submit a case and show it for you. So everything is stored in a table called item.list, which in other means called as requested item tables. If you look at requested item tables also, you will get the data, right? Requested item. But I'm always trying to emphasize on the backend table name because that is what will be useful as a developer. Till now, we have not even submitted any one request also. So we'll go ahead and submit few requests for this one. Oh, we changed this thing as an email type. Order now. So I had already submitted a request for Lakshmi, right? So I have already raised a request for Lakshmi for work desk furniture, and it is not cancelled or cancelled. It is still either open or complete. Let us assume, okay. So in my script, I'm going to validate whether there is already a request, placed on their name. So what will I do is, so in the filters, I will put request.requested for is Lakshmi, right? And then state is not cancelled. I'm going to consider all the states except for cancel, because somebody's request is cancelled means they did not get the product, right? But somebody's state is completed means they've already received the product. If somebody's state says in progress, it means that it is transit or shipping or something like that. It is a possibility that they are going to get the product. So for this validation, I'm going to rule out or ignore only the cancelled ones. So I will put state is not closed incomplete, or and state, okay, let me put it like this, is not one of closed incomplete or closed skipped, okay. And item is work desk, right? I'm going to give it a run. So my script is going to check if I run at least one record. If I get at least one record, it is going to return me duplicate found. And accordingly, I will do whatever I want, right? Now, so we are in client script. We have access to look at only the data in client side, right? Meaning whatever form, variables, everything. How can I see a data that is inside a table? This is called, you call it like kind of server side, right? Because right now when I'm on this form, the other table data is all considered as server side script, because I'm on this form, I can access only the data and information of this form, like okay, the name is Lakshmi, requested for self, the email IDs. But apart outside of this form, I will not be able to access anything. So whatever is outside of this form in my eyes right now is all called server side data. It is all stored in some table, right? Now, how do I read my server side data or the table data when I'm sitting in client side itself, right? So that is what we're going to check now. So let us imagine right now you are in a server side script. At that time, what you will do? I'm taking some script console just to write some syntax. I'm taking a script console. So what I will do is, you remember the glide record we learned on the other day? So where gr tab, you press the tab. So it gives you the syntax. This is for your easy access. But if you want to write it by your own self, so you will put where, I'm here right now putting gr. Instead of gr, you can put ritm, a, b, c, d, f, anything you can put. One second. Okay. So instead of gr, I can put any variable object name, not a problem. Okay. And initialization. Initialization means new. And gliding through the records, right? I'm going to glide through the records of a specific table. So I will put up the API called glide record API. And the syntax is that, as you can see, right, it gives you a hint of the syntax. So we're going to put a table name, which is a string. The moment it gets to your brain, it's a string, you have to put quotes. And what is the table name? Sc underscore req underscore item, right? Because all the data that we're looking for is right now stored in the table called sc request item. Fine. Now I'm going to put up a filter. Gr.add query of. So as I told you on the other day, you could add the backend names using this. Like I can put it like this: requested for first query, comma, and then gr.add query request.requested for, right? So now where is the word request.requested for is coming? Because if you do right click and copy query, you can identify that it says request.requested for is so and so, right? Because we kept request for requested for is Lakshmi. Why is it saying a sys? Because that particular field is a reference field. Reference fields are always displayed in terms of sysids. So the value that you obtain here is sysid. So the value
So,
here you
so
have here is sysid. Yes,
in gr.add query, we can put that copy URL, right?
correct. You
The
can put
second
the
line, we
copy or
can completely put, yes, second
exactly.
line.
Yeah, yeah. So this code can be written like this, or we will try to add one query after each other. Okay, and the other one is state, not in, is your operand 4 comma 7, not equal to 4, not equal to 7. Dot add query cat item, comma. Okay, so this is table, opening up of table. These are all adding filters. After adding all these filters, you have to click the button called run, right? You remember that day I told you? Go, this line represents going to the table. Fine. All these, each filter I'm adding, right? Adding filter number 1, filter number 2, filter number 3. That is all this. Okay. Now without clicking run, I will not be able to see the desired results. So how do you click on run is gr.query, right? Now I have got the records. I will be able to proceed from this. So now, as the other guy said, instead of putting all of these lines, I can use it a one simple line, which is encoded query. There's a difference between adding query and encoded query. So I'll give ADDE. So it gives me the suggestion. So I'll give enter. Now either in double quotes or single quotes, I can just copy whatever query I got here and paste it up here and finish it up with a semicolon, right? So all these 4 lines is same as this one line. This is a combined query, right? Now, uh, our requirement is that we are not validating if it has 5 records, if it has minimum 3 records, minimum 2 records, nothing. Our validation is, oh, it has, if at least it has only one record also, then we need to return as duplicate request found, something like that, right? So there's two things you can put. Either you can put if or while. So I don't have to go through each record. Let us say they have 5 requests in the past. I don't have to go through each record. I'm going to check only at least if one record available also. I'm not going to allow them to proceed any further. So I will put if gr.next, which represents I have found a next record matching these conditions. Then I will put return a keyword. Keyword is like duplicate request found, right? Finished up. And finally I will put return ans like this. Now, okay, I'm writing all these server scripts. So how do I call my server script from client script, right? I cannot write a glide record inside my on-chain client script. So how do I do that? For this, you have something called an API called GlideAjax, right? You have an API called GlideAjax. So GlideAjax helps you to call a server side script from a client side script, right? Okay. So till this, any doubts with how to write a glide record. If this is clear, I can tell you which is the correct place to write a glide record. Right now I just opened up a canvas for you to write a code, but this is not the right place to write.
So
I'll
here,
just
what is the
copy
use
and
of
show
11th
you where to
line?
put that.
11th line. What
If
does
a
it do?
record, okay, if a record exists, right? Validating a condition if a record exists. Like, see, the moment you go to dot next, what happens is it is nothing but literally like hovering onto this record or opening the record. In a general context, I'm saying I'm trying to translate each of our each of our operations against um, okay, I'm trying to you know see, I'm saying that this line is meaning you're going to table. These lines means that you're putting up filters, and this line means you're clicking on the run button, right? Run button. Now what line number 11 represents is you're either hovering onto the record or you're opening the record. Let's say you're opening the record, okay, and since I had put if, it will open the first record that is available. If I put while, it will open one record after the other, one record after the other. So if I'm opening the record itself means that a record is found. One record is found, right? Now, as I told you, the moment you jump into line number 11, you are opening the record. So you could even print the value of that opened record, as in you can print the number of your request item. So the number backend name is number. So I can print you gr.number. So going forward, any field of this particular record that you want to access, you will go with the keyword because the object name that we have defined is gr, right? So we will put gr.number. If you put gr.short description, it will print you the short description of this particular RITM. Clear, right?
So what if we don't find any duplicate request?
Okay.
So 10th line will be the output,
So
right?
else ans is equal to, you put something like you leave it as empty, or you just put it like no records found. Okay, let's keep it like this. I'm putting an else, right? This else is see, you can use your cursor to identify this if ends here. So immediately else means this else represents it's an else to this if. So if this condition not satisfied, it will jump into else. So I'm at the else condition, I'm setting my answer variable to no records found, right? Okay, so I will tell you right now, I will showed you in a canvas how to write a script. I will show you where do you exactly write a server side script, that too specifically when calling from a client script. So in under system definition, you have something called script includes, right? When I hover onto that, it says that JavaScript class libraries. I will tell you what is a script include. Script include is a repository of all the codes that you want to keep in the system, either a reusable codes or huge lines of codes like 100 lines, 200 lines of codes. But you wanted it to store in a repository and call that referencing repository somewhere in your script, like an incident table, change table, or catalog form. You just want to call that name only that much. Uh, Whatever script is stored in that repository, it will be called there. Such a thing is called script include. Now, from where and all you can call your script include? You can call your script include from both client side and from server side. And what is a script include? Script include contains only server siding scripts, meaning you're trying to look at the database, you're doing trying to do some operations of update insert and all of that. So all those are written in script includes, but this server side script can be called from client side also, server side also. I'll repeat again. Script includes is a repository. Repository means storage. Storage of all server side huge or small script, and it can be reusable or one-time script, right? It could be anything, but it is basically storage of all server-side scripts. And script includes, like you can say SI, yes, script includes, okay. Um, you can call it from both client side and server side. You can call your script include from both side and client server side. So how do you know whether this script include is meant for can be called from client side, and but the other script include can be called from server side is, I will open up any of the recent updated records, and here you have a checkbox called client callable, right? If client callable is checked true, only those are the scripts that can be called from client scripts. You have so many other scripts where it says client callable is false, right? Those scripts cannot be called from client side, right? So I will write a custom script include. Let's not look at the existing ones. Let us create a new script include. So we will save it as custom catalog utils. The word utils, you try to put it wherever you find it, like a package, something like that. You just give it a name like that. The moment you give a name like this, it see, there's a checkbox called this ServiceNow has been given as a package with a lot of scripts already given by the system. There will be few scripts, especially script includes like this, which are a large repository. So the ServiceNow vendor does not want us to update these. So what they will do is they will mark the protection policy of the scripts to protected. So these could be updated. See, wherever you say protection policy as read only or protected, see it says protected, right? If I open this, I will not even be able to see what is the script written inside this. I know that there is some script include called dev update tracker you clicks, but I will not even be able to see what is the script written inside this. I'm a developer, but I myself cannot see. The reason is because on top of us developers, there are development teams in service now, right? The vendor. So whenever they release a package, they will uh, show few scripts which are hidden, not accessible by even ServiceNow admins. So whichever says production policy is protected can be read and edited or anything done only by the vendors. We cannot touch anything in that. We will not be able to see anything in that, right? And there are few things called read only, right? So you can read what these information are, but you will not be able to do any update to these records. Even though you're an admin, you will not be able to do anything about this. But however, there are other few things that says none, right? So these are editable stuffs. You could edit them. For example, there is something called HRCOE configuration. So these are editable, right? So these things you could read and edit as well. So this is the definitions of the protection policy. Like um, you have to make sure that you do not, as a developer, you do not write a script include with the protection policy as read only or protected. What will happen is system will allow you to create a script include or any record with the protection policy as read only or protected. The moment you give a right click and save, you will not be able to edit it yourself itself. You have to reach to the vendor saying, hey, I have mistakenly wrote a script and I kept it as read only, and now I can't edit it. Now they have to come with your come for your help, and they have to help you to delete that or do anything from the database. You will not even be able to delete that also. So you'll also have to make sure that you don't write any scripts with protection policy as empty or sorry, with read only or protected. It always has to be empty, because
Instead of contacting them, we can create another one, right? We can create another essay, right?
okay, let us say you have written a logic here, like, show an info message alert, like, because but while creating, in the starting, we will keep some info message or we will keep some logic. Let us say you no longer require that logic, right? Now you can't deactivate also, you can't modify the script also, you can't do anything. So, as you said, you could only write a script include with a different name. That the existing one that you have created with the protection policy as protected, that name cannot be rechanged. You cannot disable it. You cannot delete it. Do nothing about it. So that name you cannot use it anywhere else. So if you want, you can create your new script includes with new different names, so that you don't use the existing names. For script includes, it's fine. Let us say I'm going to write a client script with protection policy, right? At that time, that client script is mapped to that catalog item. It is not like you can call it using the name only when it is called it will come. No, it will be always working on default, right? Then it is a even more mess. Now if you ask me, how do we know that we're writing in something, um, which is a protected and non-protected, is when the record opens itself, it will tell you. Otherwise, out of curiosity, what people used to do is right click, configure, form layout is there, right? So there you will have your protection policy. You have your protection policy, right? So you will think like, oh, protection policy means like admins, non-admins, something like that. And what you will do is you will bring it in the layout. After bringing it in the layout, unknowingly, you might tend to edit this. Right now this is not editable, because there is a property to disable it in the client side, but there are few places where you can edit it. And if you kept it as protected and the moment you save it, you will no longer be able to change it afterwards. So that is a concern. Right, now I click on new. Now I no longer see something like this is read only or something, right? So I'm good. I can go ahead and create this custom catalog util script include that I want to. So I'll just give a name like custom catalog utils. I'm giving a name like this because I'm planning that going forward, any catalog item I develop and any client script I'm going to create, if it requires a server side validation or something, I will use this package. Inside this, I can write 200 lines of code, 10 lines of code, 200 lines of code, anything. But I will use this package. I'm planning this in my mind. I'm writing like this. So you could see that it forms a syntax automatically. So the class that is created, right? The script include name is what you call it as a class. The class that is created is custom catalog utils, and whatever functions you want to initialize in, you will write it here. But now this we want to keep it as a client callable. So I'm going to enable this checkbox. Just watch on the script section to see once I enable this client callable, what happens to my script. I enable this. Let me reload. When I enable this, it will, right. So I have enabled this. You could see that it forms up a different script section, right? So it tells me that yes, the class is custom catalog utils, but this class is going to extend another object called abstract Ajax processor. So I will give you an one-line explanation of what this is. So this is going to be a class and you're going to write definitions on your functions and everything. But since we want this to be client callable, we need to make sure this class can access your client side elements as well. For this, ServiceNow has created another script include called abstract Ajax processor. In that, everything is written, right? Client callable prefix, blah 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 blah. Everything it has been written. You don't have to worry about anything much. What you have to do is, as a as a concept of your whoops concept of abstraction, you are going to call all the functions that is defined in this abstract Ajax processor inside this particular script include. So for that, you don't have to think anything fancy, nothing much. Just you enable this, system will automatically populate that. You don't have to worry. But in point of interview perspective, they will ask, okay, what is abstract Ajax process? You have to tell them that, oh, that is an another script include, which has functions and methods to access your client side elements. So in our client callable script include, we need to extend and extend that object so that we get that benefits also. It is like a inheritance concept. Yeah, like you inherit the properties and good values of your parents, your forefathers, right? Like that, whatever is the values or methods or functions available in a script include called abstract Ajax processor, that will be inherited to my class also, right? In a simpler note, that is the meaning. Now what I have to do is, whatever code I have written here, I have to just paste it up here. I will remove the unnecessary this thing. So this I have to return it in my function. So now how am I going to call this function inside my client script? So as I told you, we have a concept of GlideAjax, right? Now request type equal to self. Okay, so the syntax goes like this. You could, since it's glide Ajax, G for glide and A for Ajax, so I'm putting it as GA. Otherwise, you can, you can use any thing you want, like REQ type, any variable name that you want to put, you can put it. It shouldn't be a problem. So here in new glide Ajax, I will put the API name. It says global.custom catalog utils, right? And again, here add parameter. So here you will get the function name that you would write it in your script include. So, since this is a generic script, what are the datas we need right now? You have to identify what are the datas we would require dynamically. So, requested for is going to be dynamic, and then catalog item is dynamic, right? So, here you will put name sysID is nothing but glideform dot get value of on behalf. And what are the other parameters you would require? And then catalog item, cat item. Glideform dot get unique value. So it will return the sysID of your catalog item. States other query. Right. So the script include that we have developed right now is this one, and in that we let us say we have a function called um, get duplicate records. Okay, and this let us also add one more parameter called table name. So all these see this REQ item table, this state and all is static regardless of whoever raises the request, right? So but why are we trying to put this in the client script is because we don't want this to be stored in the server side script, because I'm thinking the same script include could be you environment right now you're trying to find duplicates in SC request item, right? Tomorrow you want to find duplicates in some other table like an incident table or probably CMDBCI table, something like that. At that time you don't want to uh, create new functions. Instead of that, this existing one function whatever you have, that itself is fine and you could make use of that, right? So for that sake we're trying to put as much as possible inside your client script itself.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Can you please explain from 13th line?
Okay. All right. So you remember you wrote a glide record, we wrote a glide record 10 minutes back, right? Similar now, how do we access that glide record from a client script? From a client script, you need to access some server side data. How do you do that is the question. For that, you have an API called GlideAjax in in ServiceNow instance. GlideAjax helps you to retrieve the server side data want to look at the information of server side data, then GlideAjax will help you, right? Now whatever server side script I have to write it in a script include. Right now we just wrote it, right? We have to write it in a script include. That script include we have to call it here. So what I'm doing in here is whatever API name that I created there, right? So I will put where GA is equal to new GlideAjax of the script include name. So instead of putting GA, you can put any variable object name of your choice. I've just put GA for now. And there you need to see, as I told you, in script include you will have hundreds of functions, right? So my script include can have hundreds of functions. So I need to tell the system, hey, go and look at this function. So I'm going to tell my system, go and look at the spam function name that goes by the name get duplicate records. So this is my function name, right? So I'm going to give few more filters to it. Like in glide record you have some filters, right? Similar to that, you can give more filters, like one filter called syspam table name, syspam name, sysid. So all these names, sysid and all is my own names, like it's like a variable name. But you have to make one thing a constant, that everything starts with the keyword syspam underscore. Okay, so I'm giving like 4 filters. So after giving 4 filters, now I'm done. So I have to get the response from this, right? So response I will get it as an XML only. So all your Ajax calling, you would get it in XML only. So I'll put get XML of my output. I'll put this is again the name that I randomly give. You can put it as something else. Now whatever I got around this output, I will read it inside this my output function. Let me write it first and I'll explain you what each represents. If let us say my returned output says duplicate found, I'm going to give an alert to my system stating duplicate um, request found, request cannot be submitted. In addition to that, we will also clear the values of on behalf. Okay, so okay, now that I have written all of my details here, I will proceed to explain what each of them is capable of. So I'm writing a script include called global dot custom catalog utils. That is my script include name, and inside that I might have hundreds of function. So, but I want to concentrate on one function that goes by the name get duplicate records. This function name is again my own defined name. It is not like a system name or anything. So in there, I'm going to give some queries, like it can be one query, one filter. Like see, in when you run up this filter, it is up to you whether you want to put 3 filters, one filter, or anything like that, right? Similarly, in my script, I'm putting where is my script? I'm putting like how many filters? One, two, three, four. 4 filters I'm putting. So the line exactly next to GlideAjax with parameter name as syspam name is your function name. Rest all is the parameter names that you develop on your own. And once this is processed in the server side script, you will get an XML output. So that output you have to use it as a callback function. What is a callback function is, instead of deriving the answers right away here, you will put it in a function called my output, and the response that you had received, you will handle it separately as a function. So this is what you call it as a callback function. So you get a response, right? You get a response through in your XML. So in that response, you will get it as an XML only. In XML, if you see, you will see several attributes. If you have noticed the XML of any data, for example, let me show this XML, show XML of this record. You see a lot of attributes, right? Approval is one field, approval set, other different attributes. In that, there will be one attribute called answer, which will store the exact answer, right? So we want to concentrate only on that attribute. So we're reading that attribute from the response we got. If the attribute says duplicate found, then we are going to give an alert message in the client script like this, and we are going to clear the value of on behalf. Why are we right now clearing the value of on behalf? It is because we found that for the same user there was already a request, right? So let us clear this value so that they can raise it for somebody else. Or let us say again they put it as Lakshmi, then same thing will happen. So I will also clear the value of this and clear the value of um, my request type as well. All right. Now that we have developed the client script, I will show you the completion of our script include. Where is our script include? Okay, here I have my script include. Okay, so remember the function name that we just used it here, get duplicate records, right? So this is your function name. So inside this space, let me comment the existing script to avoid confusion from your end. Okay, so exactly after this abstract Ajax processor line, what you would have to do is you have to put your function name. This is a syntax: function name colon function declaration, right? Open and close curly braces, and then finish it up with a comma. Now, whatever you script you feel it like, you will have to put it here, put it inside this function. Okay. Now this line understanding is done, right? See, custom catalog utils is this one, custom catalog utils. This function name get duplicate records is get duplicate records. Now, where are you going to bring your this parameter and all is? So here you will put like where name is equal to um, get the parameter of a specific, like this dot get parameter of name society, right? Behalf of. So one is on behalf society, the other one is the catalog item society, right? So I'll put catalog item society. The other one is other query. The other one is table name. Cat name, other query, and then table name is tab name. Okay. Now, either you could, directly put it here like this, or you will just use this as a dynamic. So instead of putting SCREQ item, you will put it as tab name. So what is the tab name that we have obtained from the client script? The tab name that we have obtained is SC_request_item. So which is a dynamic value. And again, all these query right now we have hard coded it, right? So instead of hard coding, what we can do is gr dot add query of request dot requested for comma behalf of, right? So now you understand why we are trying to bring it like, it is not like we're trying to complicate it, but we are trying to bring it as one dynamic script which can be utilized in several other client script, not just this one, but we could use it in several other client scripts also. So that is why instead of hard coding it, we are keeping it like this. So otherwise, if you want it to be very static, no, I don't want it dynamic, all these exaggeration and all. I want it to be static, but for my work desk calculog. So with regard to work desk, what you would require is only this on behalf. The other things and all you don't require it, because when we are working for work desk, we know that we are going to evaluate in SC request item table. Only this one is going to be dynamic. Otherwise, rest all is static. Like we are going to evaluate it against the records where state is not one of this and catalog item and all of that, right? So if a record exists, it will return answer like this. Else it will return answer like this, right? So what you have to finally um set as an output is return ans, job done. Okay, so now that we have changed all of these as dynamic, you required only this on behalf of, you don't require the table name or anything. So all these I'll comment this up. Okay, so if you identify, what we're doing is we're going to the script include, we are calling one specific function called get duplicate records for work desk. Let me change my function name correctly here as well. And you are parsing one parameter which is nothing but your on behalf of value. So that you are parsing it in the parameter called syspam name, a variable called behalf of your, and you're writing your glide record. So if any one record found, also you're getting this answer as duplicate request found. Let me put the exact same word, else it will say no records found and it will return this, right? Let me save this up. I'll try to put an alert on answer here as well, and I will save this as well so we could do a demo for you. Okay, since we just changed the client script, we got to reload this form. Only then the changes will be reflected. And this script we have written on the change of request type only. So when I put self, only then the script will start evaluating. So it says that duplicate found. Okay, duplicate request found. Request cannot be submitted, right? So if I put it for somebody else other than Lakshmi, I'll put it as IT admin request for self. So it says no records found. Did you identify the difference? I can show you in a different way as well. So I'll put Lakshmi name here. Request type as self. So it says that duplicate found RITM. Duplicate found RITM is RITM number 1003. And it says this message again. So you could see that RITM 1003 is on Lakshmi's name. That is the reason. Um, with this demonstration, I will again explain you what the script is so that it gets into your brains. um, we need to evaluate in the database in RITM table that for this user, for whoever names that we entered here, do I have an open record, right? If I have an open record, then I should give them an alert message and clear out this values of this and clear out the values of both the things. This is my requirement. Now I am in client side, I will not be able to retrieve the data of server side. Now how can I achieve it? I can achieve it through an glide API called GlideAjax. Now how do you write a GlideAjax, right? So in your on change client script, so we want this to be evaluated when you change your request type field, right? So in your on change client script, you are checking your field value, whether if it is a self or for team. Only for self you're going to do this. So once it is identified as self, the script from line number 10 to 27 will run. Now what does my script between line number 10 to 27 does is it goes and looks into a script include called global dot custom catalog utils. So you can see that it forms an underline, and you do a right click, it says open definition. So the moment I give it, it opens the script include in a new tab. So the API name is global.custom-catalog-utils. That is the name that we have given here. And the API that we're calling is a GlideAjax. And this is obviously marked as client callable only because of that. If you write here, it is working. Imagine if I uncheck it, it will not work, right? Now I need to get some data from these functions. See, so this is one function, right? Like this I can write 100 functions, like another function called get dddd, something like that. So I can write 100 functions inside this one script include. As I told you, a script include is like a small library. You can have 100 pages inside this book. So but you want to look at only one specific function, right? So you have to tell your client side system which function are you looking for. So the function that we are looking for, the name is get duplicate records for work desk. So we're instructing the client script that, hey, the function name, syspam name is get duplicate records for work desk. So what system will do is will do a control F here, right? It will find this function, and after finding this function, we are sending one parameter. That one parameter is that there is a we have created one parameter called a name sysid. Like instead of this, I can give anything, right? It is my own defined name. Whereas this one is standard, you should not change it. It is always spam underscore name only. Whereas the other parameters like filter parameters, it is mandatory that it has to start with the prefix spam underscore. But after that, you can give whatever you want to, not a problem. So we gave the name as name society, right? In that, what are we parsing? We are parsing the on behalf of form value. The on behalf of form value is a society of this particular person, right? If I put Lakshmi, it is Lakshmi society. Now this data you will get it in your server script using this particular method. There is a method called get parameter of whatever is the parameter name that you defined in your client script. So that parameter will be received and it will be stored in a variable called bf of. This is like a name you want, you can give it. Now that you have your on behalf of name, so since you know that this function is exclusively for work desk, you know all other filters. What are the other filters? State is not one of, closed incomplete or closed skipped, catalog item is work desk, and all of that. What is the other filter that you need who is the requested for, right? That filter alone we are getting it from the client side. Rest all is stored here itself. The who for whom the request is for, that on behalf of variable alone you're getting it from client side, rest all you have. So that you are adding it to your query. Now if I find at least one record, I'm going to set my answer variable. See, I have kept one variable called ans. That answer variable I'm putting it as duplicate found RITM, and giving the number also, because I'm thinking if I give the number also it will be even more easier. If I don't find it, I'm going to return it stating that no records found, right? So any questions with how the script include has been written? Okay. So now the answer is processed and the answer is stored in a variable called ans. Any script include the response, you will get it in XML only. I showed you an example of how an XML looks like, right? So it has these value key pairs. Now, so you have parsed this script include name and the function name and the filter parameters. You're gonna get your XML output. So that output you will decrypt it, or you will dissect the output as an uh, response. So um, see, if I give val here, I have to make sure the same val I give it here, right? It's just my custom name. So whatever is the response, I receive it here, and that response also I will get it to several attributes like answer and output. Like I will get several attributes in the XML. In that, I want to only focus on the attribute called answer. So I will put up a syntax like this. In my response, look at the response XML. In that, there are several document elements. In that document element, there is one attribute called answer. Just find it and store it in my variable called answer. Okay, since both of these says answer, it might be confusing for you. Uh, I'll put it like this: OPP. Okay. So there's an attribute called answer. Whatever value it is found there, just store it in my variable called OPP. Now, if my OPP is not equal to, negation means not equal to, right? This one means negation, which means not equal to. If it is not equal to no records found, it means that record exists, right? If it's not equal to no records found means it is the opposite, which means record exists. So it's going to tell you an alert stating that duplicates request found, request cannot be submitted, and it will print that OPP. OPP is nothing but the RHM number, whatever got printed up, and it is also going to clear out your on behalf of variable and your request type variable. It's the same script, just I just renamed a few things like opp and things, so that you don't get confused. Oh, you're also answer, you're also answer, so which answer they are referring to, you should not get confused. That's why I gave it a unique, a different name. Any questions on this? Right, if I give something else, some other names, it will not show me an error. No record found, so it will allow me to submit the request. Now for IT admin, let me do one thing. For IT admin, let me submit a request. So now that I have submitted a request for IT admin, so next time system will not be allowing me to raise another request for IT admin. Let me reload this form. I'll put IT admin request for self. So it says that duplicate record found, right? It cannot be submitted. You understood the difference, right? Any questions with whatever we learned so far? So if you can understand Glide Record and GlideAjax and all these GForm APIs, uh, like 50% of the scripting is done. We will also look at another example tomorrow. Only then it will be, it will be stored in your mind. Otherwise, it might pass as a, pass as a cloud. So I will show you another example using both script include and client script tomorrow as well. But today, whatever I have done now, just try to reproduce in your personal instance so that the practice, gets into your muscle memory. Any questions so far? All right, I take that as a no. So we'll get closed for today's session and we'll reconnect again for tomorrow. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining in. I'll stop recording of the session.